Just a quick intro of who I am, because you all came here and maybe it's like, okay, who is this woman? So I am Judith. I'm a change nurturer and the founder of Connection Camino. And just like you, I'm a job seeker. So what does that mean? I have been, well, I want to tell you that I am no doctor and no psychologist, but I know some things about mental health and the job search because of my personal experiences, how I have been going through burnout. I've been going through the job search since January this year. And yeah, this is actually my current situation. So 83.5% of the applications that I sent in January got rejected right away. And 6.5 were rejected after the first interview. And I have been like ghosted on 10% of the applications that I did, which is quite like interested that I've been ghosted more than rejected after an interview. So yeah, kind of like employers have been ghosting me more than even inviting me to interviews. And yeah, of course, that has brought to something that I guess that many of you also experience, that is this countless tears and anxiety and a constant what the fuck is going on feeling. I have been quite yeah, sort of like very anxious about everything. And it's been many months of really not understanding what was going on. And this is why I am doing this now, because just by holding myself, just by going through all this process, I saw that, okay, there was a different way of doing it. I wasn't just allow the job search crash me and that's it. So this is where from job seeker to job receiver appear, and I felt like very called to share it with everybody. So really, if you were expecting that this was going to be a series of workshops where I'm going to talk about how to get a job, no, this is not another one of those, because I am just like you. I don't got a job right now, but I'm going through it, and I felt that right now in a moment when everybody is sort of like feeling also this, I just thought that, okay, maybe we can bring some more value together in this way, which, I mean, if you are joining other workshops, if you are talking to other people about getting some tips, advices on how to, make a better CV or how to apply to jobs or how to prepare for an interview, that is amazing. But I think that there's a big part that not that many people are talking, which is like, okay, how are you being through the job search? So yeah, that's the whole point of what is from job seeker to job receiver. The idea is to support candidates in their job hunt with invitations to understand and reframe how are they being, showing up, and acting in the recruitment process. I highlighted invitations because I think that this is just sharing a way of seeing the job search. And I want to really stress this out, because what we are going to do today and tomorrow and the following day in these virtual sessions is just give a lot of different ideas, a lot of questions, a lot of prompts to reframe, to change a bit the perspective. And you take it or you don't take them. It's as simple as that. I'm just going to share what has been working for me with my experiences as having been in the very same place where most of you are right now. So if something doesn't work for you, perfect, just don't take it. The whole idea is that through these invitations, maybe we can see together some blind spot, some different angle that maybe we weren't that much aware of before. So this is the whole point of why I want to make very sure that everybody understands that everything is just an invitation. And I'm very grateful that you felt the call to respond to this invitation. And the workshops are going to be just on keep on showing up in the invitations for you to take them or not take them. And another thing that I want to really stress before we continue moving forward is that receiving is not passive. When we talk about and this concept of moving from job seeking to job receiving, it's like, oh yeah, look, I'm gonna just lay down and wait until the job of my dreams lands in front of me. Well, that is not what receiving means. To be able to receive, what we need to do first is to build that capacity and the willingness to get the unexpected. And this is the main change. When we are seeking, we are usually building some kind of like expectations. And then it's when building up expectations, we sort of like, oh, shoot, I didn't get that. And then you crash even harder. But when you are moving to receiving, is kind of like, yeah, being open to whatever may emerge. And here it's kind of like difficult because you may be like, yeah, you did, but I mean, I'm a graphic designer. It's not like I want a job as a graphic designer. And yes, I understand that. But sometimes it's just that being very focused on the expectations that we have blinds us from seeing all other things that there are. Because if you are like, yes, I want a job as graphic designer and I want to get this paid and I want that and I want that and then it's when you are building up a lot that actually is maybe not going to be fulfilled. Maybe it's not going to align with what you have in mind. So receiving is about being more open and, again, not passive. It's about getting ready for welcoming what comes to you. And this is what we're going to be seeing in the next days. So I think that Alan Watts put it in a very simple way. And that I've been sitting with this quote a lot for the last months, which is problems that remain persistently insoluble should always be suspected as questions asked in the wrong way. This is what for me was the main way of why am I reframing the whole job seeking and the job hunt, because it was kind of like, okay, if this is not working, if I am persistently hitting a wall all the time in the job search, isn't it maybe that is there something that I'm not seeing? Like, how am I behaving and showing up in this job search? What is it that I'm doing? How is it that I'm doing the things that I'm doing? So this is the main thing that summarizes what are we going to try to do in these days. And I want to also tell you that this is a safe space of vulnerability, trust, and compassion. So we are going to be, these invitations, yeah, are questions, are ways of seeing things in a different way. And of course, like some emotions may be emerging. So I please ask you to hold yourself and the others with a lot of loving and gentle presence. And I also invite you to have some pen and paper close to write down whatever may be arising. We are going to be going through different slides and like different angles and prompts and questions that may trigger your thinking. And then we will have at the end some time to reflect on everything that we've been seeing together, and to also have some space for sharing if that's what you feel called to. Of course, that part is not going to be recorded, so you can feel completely open and safe to share whatever comes up to you. Okay, so how are we going to go through from job seeker to job receiver in the next days? First, today we are going to be talking about the candidate experience starts with you. Tomorrow, what you see from your place in the job market. And we are going to tap into the potential of the job search on the third day. And let me explain you why is this structure and why are we going to move from this place to that one and to that one. So when we are looking at you at this attitude, at your responses, is about like, okay, this is you during the job search. This is everything that is happening around you. And of course, we know that everything that we experience comes through the senses. And is it about like, okay, how are we interpreting everything? How are we being? It's all about the being in the job search, whatever it is that is happening, and the stimuli and the insights and the inputs that we are getting from the other world. Then when we look at what is your place in the job search, it's about trying to open it up a bit more. So after having been understand it, how are we being in the job search, it's also interesting to look more at the big picture of, okay, and how then are we relating to what's going on? And this is about trying to go beyond yourself, go beyond the emotions that you're feeling, and trying to see those systemic patterns and understanding more, that sort of like big picture, because there's a lot going on, and it's about like, okay, how is that affecting you? How is that affecting others? Is it a systemic thing? Is a thing that is just in your head? That's why we move to the second part after having been analyzed it. How is it that you are experiencing the job search? And finally, when we move to the potential of the job search, this is about like, okay, then what is it that you can go beyond yourself? Let's think of, how can you reframe what's going on? How can you create new things? How can you just try to twist something, or kind of like, okay, after having been really aware of what's going on inside of you and understanding very well what's the context and how you are relating to that context, to those patterns, then what are the opportunities that you may not have been seeing when you weren't able to analyze the inner, the outer, and how everything turns into the potentiality of it? Like, what are the opportunities that are emerging then? So this is the structure that we are going to do. And of course, today we start with that inner dimension, like that candidate experience that starts with you and how you interpret what's going on. And let's start by, okay, first of all, analyzing how is the market right now. Probably you have been like, just like me, getting all of these things. And those are all the inputs that we are getting from the outside. Like, I love rejections emails from the no reply email, which is like, okay, you couldn't made it like more clear. I love also this, that when you apply to a job and they tell you like, okay, if we have not responded, just really understand, we don't need even to give you a hint or whatsoever. Just understand that you have not been successful. Also, like, of course, like making it super capital letters, like this is not going to reach an individual if you try to reach out to somebody. Or then when you are sort of like scrolling through LinkedIn and it's like, okay, this has been posted just for a few hours and there's already more than 100 applicants. What the hell is going on? Or I love this one, and this is really true, that happened to me during an application, like somebody in the application form asking me if my phone was a landline or a pager or a Wi-Fi phone, which is like, I don't even know what is that. Like, what is this? Am I applying to a job in the 90s? It was really crazy. Actually, the funny thing is that this is from a telecommunications company, which I'm not going to name because it was just hilarious. But as you see, like there is so much going on between the rejections, between the absurdity of things. It really, you try to make sense of what is going on from this, and you are just like absorbing all these inputs that are coming from inside, and you are like, I understand absolutely nothing. So I really would like to tap into this, because I think that the main thing that can create some anxiety that we are all facing, and it's a constant right now in the job search, is the rejection. So I just want you to tap into that power of your attitude and response and ask you, what does rejection mean to you? Because I'm pausing here just for a second, because yeah, as I said, I think that this is one of the main things that we are experiencing right now. And that rejection is like, okay, is it something that it hurts you directly? Is it something that you see beyond that? You know, we all have heard this like, oh, rejection is redirection, or that meant that was nothing for you and blah, blah. And it's like, yeah, I know. But really, let's get real. What is it that rejection means to you in your body? Because that's something that it really is the cornerstone currently in the job search. From what I've been seeing, there are a couple of things that are usually the way that we move towards rejection. And it can be just getting that no that you got and put it carefully on top of the other pile of no's that you have, which means that you are just accumulating rejection after rejection. And not even that they are accumulating, which is very, very true, but you are putting them on your backpack and you carry that with you through all the different applications and all the time that you are going through everything. So it's sort of like, it really feels like a very heavy burden and a weight that is going with you all the time. I've been there. I really was like, when I started like getting like rejection after rejection email, it sort of like felt like, yeah, just like really just putting more weight on me. And maybe this relates to you or maybe not, because maybe also rejection for you means when, you know, you have some sort of like a hole inside, because when you are seeking a job, there is some lacking. And rejection, saying no, it's again like that denial of that something that you want. And then that hole within, that constantly feeling of lack and scarcity is just like making bigger and bigger and bigger. And that also can mean it's those moments when sometimes it can be that, yeah, the anxiety just keeps growing because, of course, that hole and that scarcity and that lack is just like expanding all over you. Maybe rejection means that to you. But my invitation right now of, okay, if those are that heavy weight and that enormous lack are sort of like two classic responses to rejection, what if rejection meant that? Like, I know that it's very cringe and that it's very annoying, the whole like, that meant that that wasn't for you. Well, what if that is true? What if that door that is closing actually means that there is something else that you are not seeing? And it's kind of like very, very difficult, because I know that it's real when you don't have a job, when you are struggling, and when you really want to work, to have a paid work. But yeah, when we get another rejection, that just means that there's something else out there. And if we tap into that sort of like possibility and potential of, hey, there's actually something that is a no, even though if you had already your long accumulation of no's, maybe there is something else. This is just like telling you that there is something else, and probably maybe you are just not seeing what is it beyond. So what if rejection actually meant opportunity in that sense? And the question that I invite you now to reflect a bit on is rejection amplifying your sense of anxiety or your sense of curiosity of, okay, what else is there? We're going to sit more with this question later, So let's just be with it now. And we're going to continue moving through, okay, balance through the emotions. We've been talking already about anxiety, about that sense of scarcity. And what is it then that we can do to go through that? Because really, like, the job search is a freaking roller coaster. Probably when you've been just like starting, you may be like the kid of this 1-2 months into the job search. Then you go into 3-5 months and you are just like, oh my God, this again and again. And then, yeah, you can get like, okay, when you are over 6 months, it's like, okay, you are like that kid at the end, like whatever, like completely disconnected already. So it is true, like the whole going through the motions is a very crazy roller coaster. And yeah, it's a roller coaster that can arise like different emotions depending on where you are and how long have you been in the job search. It takes a lot. It really takes a lot. It's a constant like boom, 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 boom. So the main question here is, then how are you resting? Because going through all these emotions take a lot of energy. It really is like being super hype on, wow, I'm doing an application that really fits super well, that I'm so aligned to the job description. And then you get a rejection from that one, but then you get an invitation to an interview, but then they tell you no from another interview that felt very good. It's like constantly. So really, you just need to be very careful with how are you regulating your nervous system, and that's absolutely connected to how are you resting. And in resting, it's about, yeah, how is it that you are sleeping? How is it, what are the breaks that you are taking um in between applications? How much are you dedicating to all of this? And for me, this is the main thing, that the true measures of success is a calm nervous system. I will say actually that it is a regulated nervous system. Calm sometimes can end up in the, sort of like positive or negative, but I think that regulated, and especially now knowing that it's like this crazy roller coaster, I think that regulated is exactly what we are trying to achieve here. And yeah, for regulating your nervous system, you just really have to take it easy. Because we know how when we are doing a job, when we are working on whatever role it is with a company or with a team, there is a lot of stress, there is a lot of like deadlines, there is a lot of whatever it is that causes you, stressors that you have to cope with. But it's sort of like sometimes you can get like, oh yeah, we were going through a very intense whatever week because of this project, and then you go through it and you are feeling sort of like a bit triggered or whatever, but then you have some time to rest, and then you have also some holidays, and you have the weekend and so on. But really, how many people here have been applying to jobs on a Sunday or whatever? I mean, it's true, because we usually don't create like a schedule for job. And actually they say this thing that the job search is usually like a job in itself, but we don't treat it many times as it were a job, because in a job you have a lunch break, and you are not usually working at 10 at night on a Saturday morning and things like that. If you want to do it, perfect. But then you have to be very aware that you also need that time to rest, to calm down, and to really find those spaces during the day when you can be, just more relaxed. So, because there is a lot of emotions, and as we were talking about, like the whole up and down that can happen 3 times on a day, it takes a lot of energy. So just be very mindful of these questions of how actually are you trying to regulate your nervous system. And the question here that I would like you to invite to sit with is, as we were saying, if the job search is a job in itself, how are you going to prevent burnout from it? Because, yeah, can you burn out from looking for a job? Burnout is a organizational phenomena that is connected to the workplace. And yeah, we sort of like forget that, well, if we treat it, the job as such a job, then I can burn out from it. And then what will happen if you burn out from the job search? I burn out many times before, and the only way that I was able to really heal was like taking off. So you can you afford to take off the job search if you burn out? That just like, it's kind of like it makes the snowball bigger and bigger. So I think that here prevention to get into this point is it's really, really key. And this is why, like, knowing all the emotional toll and the energetic toll that it has to be dealing with rejections, with interviews, with the stress, with the illusion, the motivation, and then like the rejection and so on. That takes a lot. So what is it that you're going to do to really regulate, to prevent that you get to that level of super emotions that are overwhelming and that you don't know how to cope with? Because yeah, your body and your mind will just shut off if you don't work on really regulating through all that, because it's very real. So it's kind of like super extra important that for the people that are in the job search that have so much at stake, to really take it easy. And yeah, connected to that, it's the third thing that I wanted to speak about today. There is this sharpen your intuition that is very connected to this related nervous system, because intuition is this kind of thing that speaks in your head or in your body somehow. It speaks very, very, very low, very calm voice, super chill. And you really have to be aware to be able to listen and to not to understand what it's saying, because many times intuition doesn't make sense because we are trying to make sense with our rational mind, and intuition is something else. But yeah, it's about like, okay, how can you listen to that? And questions here to think about, it's because, yeah, many times people don't know. Can you tell when you're following your guts and when you're following your mind? This is, yeah, it's a tricky one because many people are not able. And especially, I know in the job search, you, of course, think rational because it's like, well, I need to pay the bills. What is it more rational, grounding, and connected to reality than that? It is very true. It is. But at the same time, there is something else going on. We have to really think that, hey, the job search is just sort of like a portal to something new. So in that sense, are you gonna just follow and step into something that is just about your rational mind, or is it something else? Especially, I know here that we're many people that are not just looking for a job, whatever that means, but are looking also for a job that brings meaning to our lives and to others people's lives, that are jobs that are impactful, that are purpose driven. It's all of that. Like, we really want that. So if that is the way that you want to step into your next job, how are you going to do it if you cannot really follow what your gut, what your intuition is saying? And my suggestion to really honor that intuition is to pause. Like, in the whole, like we were talking about, like the nervous system and regulating it and how you rest, how you sleep, how you take breaks. it's all about that pause. Through regulating our nervous system, through slowing down, we can really start listening to this voice that speaks super chill, super loud. Because anxiety and fear and that sense of anger and frustration, those voices in your head and your body just really shouting at you. And it's like that that goes inside your head all the time. And we all have been there for sure. But then how can you really tell those voices to chill? I know that we have been looking for a job for a long time, and I know that I should be applying every day and just like going crazy about it. Because yeah, you are in a rush somehow. You really want that, and you need it actually to survive in this world. I know, but pausing, just pausing for a second, and really thinking that is this the next step that I should be taking? Is this what I'm feeling called to do? Because I see many times, and this has happened a lot, and I was there and I did it as well, of just like, okay, I'm gonna apply to, well, 8 jobs a day. And none of those work. Those were part of that big number, I don't remember already, like 80 something percent that I've been rejected directly. Those were probably these jobs that I was just like in that sense of anxiety, and I had this voice of the anxiety here, like, you don't have a job yet. And it was like, okay, let's just go crazy and let's just blah, 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 let's do a lot of applications today. And I didn't pause. This thing when you are just like, yeah, I don't even know what am I applying to. And how is that actually responding to what you really want to do? Because I know we all need money, we all need work to do, but we all need meaning as well. And when we do things when it's lacking meaning, when it's lacking intention, when it's lacking like really alignment, then what? Are we gonna accept a job that feels completely unbalanced, that feels completely out of us, and what, you're gonna start a job and that you actually don't like, and 3 months later you are gonna be regretting it? So what if we all pause? What if instead of going crazy into applying to 1,000 things, we just are a bit more strategic? And strategic doesn't mean that we do it with a rational mind. It means that we just apply to those things that really feel meaningful, that excite us, that we feel some sort of like awe when we read a job description that feels, wow, I could totally do that. I could totally imagine myself doing that. And that use that excitement to write that beautiful, super cool application. And maybe you're gonna reject it anyways, but at least it's gonna be more meaningful. You're putting something out there that is more meaningful. So my invitation now is, let's use this what if, because that helps a lot to sort of like shut up a bit the rational mind or the fear mind. What if you don't apply to that opportunity? What can happen? And what if you move towards what feels right and not rational? How will that feel like? And what if you say no to that job offer? What if everything that is telling you to, yes, get the job because finally somebody gave you a job offer, but it doesn't feel right? So before making a decision, just ask, what if? It doesn't mean that you have to reject the job offer, but it's just taking that pause to really sense into, okay, does that feel right? Or is this maybe gonna be a disaster? But really, that voice speaks once and it speaks super, super low, very chill. So you need to be very attentive to be able to listen to that. And that's when it comes a regulated nervous system, the balancing through the emotions, the pausing and listening to what is really out there. So the question here is, do you have the courage to act from a place of alignment, or will your actions be driven by fear, by anxiety? It's a tricky one because, as I say, we tend to be in a position in the job search of sort of like struggling and from lack and scarcity, because we are lacking a job. Hello. But being courageous, standing up from what we believe in, it's more challenging to do it when you are going through a moment that requires a lot of your well-being and you being in a very nice place to be able to follow what feels right for you, when everything is pulling you and the forces are just like, no, but you must get a job because and the taxes and this and the bills and whatever that you have to be doing. And that sense of lack of what we were talking about before, that hole within you. Of course you want that hole to be full again. But are you willing to just take whatever to fill it, or do you want to fill it with those things that are really meaningful? And that takes a lot of courage, like saying no. Saying no to applying to that opportunity that doesn't feel very, saying no to that job offer that is like, but so it's really about empowering yourself through the process, and the intuition will always help you that, because really the intuition is always on your side. Like, she really is cheering you up all day, but she does it very, very low. So we need to learn how to listen to it. And now I will shut up, and I would like to invite you to take a few minutes to just sit with these big questions that we've been looking in the last minutes, and everything that we've been talking about. So you have here like the big questions as prompts if you would like to see it, to just write about it, or just meditate on these questions and see what emerges and see what resonates. And just know that this is a space for playing, for really working with that what if question, and just reframing and just seeing like, okay, is there a perspective that maybe you haven't seen, that you weren't aware of, that it was a blind spot? And what if you step into that? I will leave you, a few minutes so everybody can just write, can just think, can just be with these questions. And we are going to come back in just a few minutes, and we can have a moment to share together and to look at it together.